Hey everybody, we were going to do this live, but
This is like our fourth attempt.
yes, you'd think that we've never used a computer before, but I blame Facebook because it's happening multiple apps, multiple networks, but it keeps crashing. So we're going to try this the old-fashioned way and do a straight-up recording. But
We're on photo booth.
I know, yeah, for real. But anyway, so when we post this, please still feel free to interact. Please interact. I'd encourage you to interact in the comments and stuff so we can kind of digest everything that we talk about and all that stuff. But please watch this in its fullness. We want to go over a couple important pieces of information that we were going to do this past Monday, and then everything happened with Otis, which kind of has thrown our lives in a loop for the past week. But not tomorrow, but the following Sunday, we are going to be doing a meal during the service. So it's going to be kind of like the Pentecost cookout, except for instead of the meal following, it's going to be actually a part of the service itself. We did this in our young adult group in Kalamazoo and called it an eat feast. And that term is kind of stolen from the first century church, who referred to their what we now call communion as
Love feast.
Yeah, love feasts. And so since that sounds like an orgy, we decided to forego that term and call it an eat feast. And so go ahead.
Well, just like logistically, what we want is probably 2 worship songs at the beginning, a fast one, maybe a slower song. And then Todd's going to do like a very brief message. And then we're going to eat. And at the very end, we'll have you guys, Steve and Katie and the worship team, come up and end it with one song. It would be kind of cool if we could maybe find like a hymn or something like that to end with. And yeah, so that's kind of what our thing is. Now that logistically, that means that we're going to need to meet here next Saturday. I prefer to do the morning if possible, so that way your guys' Saturday isn't eaten up. But we need to set the room up for this. So we need to make sure that, because we can't do that Sunday morning. So we need to have everybody involved on Saturday to be here and set it up. If Saturday doesn't work for you guys, let's try to do it on Friday night, Friday evening. We actually have a Christmas planning meeting happening on, I believe, the 1st, September 1st. Oh, yeah, is that right? Yeah, September 1st, and it's supposed to be at our house, but what we can do is we can change it, and we can do it here at the church, and then we can set up. So whatever you guys would prefer, either Friday night or Saturday morning, let us know in the comments, and we'll go with majority input. So
Yeah. So a couple quick things about the event to dovetail off of what she said. We want it to be heavily relational. One of the things that we've kind of talked a little bit about to a couple of you guys is that we want, in all of our values and in our future, all staff meetings and stuff, we're going to kind of revisit what our values are as a church, look at the ones that we currently have and say, is this who we are, or are there things that we want to kind of revamp? And one of those is fun.
Or is this who we are or who we want to be and we've stopped being that?
Yeah. So one of those is fun. We want to incorporate a culture of fun because I think we're good with the tasks most of the time. We're good with being very mission oriented, but in the midst of that, we're cultivating a community, and part of having a flourishing, life-giving community is actually enjoying ourselves and having fun. Which is why we're going to be doing that team building thing down in Rochester Hills in October.
So you have to be there because you have to have fun.
Yes, the fun is
the
fun is mandatory.
We're legislating your schedule so you can have fun.
So, but with this, the idea essentially is not only to give kind of a throwback to a 1st and 2nd century style service. And to kind of practice what our spiritual ancestors did, but also to increase that community element. After we did the Pentecost cookout and then the baptism, we've had several people come up and be like, when are we going to do the next one? And so we thought that we need to be responsive to that. And so what we're going to be asking everybody to do is to bring a dish to pass, just like normal, and the church is obviously very good about that. what I'd like to do, specifically, Carrie, if I can solicit your help again, regarding getting with like Kathy Reed and Bonnie and Patrice and our first impressions, Lady Susie, and then also Kevin and Mary Jones have expressed a lot of interest in wanting to be a part of these kind of events and help and kind of form a team to help plan, all of the kind of stuff, as the details, cutlery, all that kind of stuff. Make sure we have stuff in the pantry and all that.
Jim Novak.
Additionally, I want to see if we can get Jim Novak, Jim and Trisha and Taylor, who always sit up front. Jim was one of those people that expressed, like, I want to be involved in the next grill out that you guys do. And so I'd like to see if, Carrie, if you wouldn't mind reaching out to Jim and Trisha and Kevin and Mary specifically about the grilling. One, I'd like to not use my grill because transporting it last time, it's big and bulky and it got kind of banged up. So we can either buy like one of those small like charcoal grills and just
like
have
the
it
little
here on
hibachi
site.
ones, so they can sit around and.
I mean, it's not ideal, but or like a cheap, grill from Lowe's that we can it can be the church's, or if one of them can bring a grill or somebody else, that'd be ideal. And then talk to Jim and Kevin about kind of manning the meat.
Oh, okay. No, you need to stop. Hand me my Starbucks.
Can I edit that out?
No,
no,
you can't.
Okay. So if they can man the meat while the beginning of service is going, we'll actually start. We'll start eating around 10:30.
You're gross.
So, but yeah, talk to them. See about the grill situation, and then Daniel, if you and Kathleen wouldn't mind. Or if somebody else knows of a quick hookup that we can get for like long 8-foot tables, because we're kind of limited in the amount that we have here that don't have a bunch of crap on them. And so in the past we've borrowed round tables from like Riverside Tabernacle downtown.
We can see if Chris and Emily would bring theirs that they use for the baptism.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. But yeah.
Like theirs with the chairs and stuff. So,
and then lastly, with that, if we can, Carrie, if you would mind creating another Facebook event and just inviting a bunch of people, make us admins to it, so that I don't even think we need to be admins to invite people. So that way we can invite people on our list too, and just get some people out, and then
like blitz the crap out of Facebook with it. Like everybody needs to like. Share it like crazy.
So that help us share that Facebook event. Help us invite people to that Facebook event that are like actually like
Another good one for the grilling is Brandon Olson. See if and I think Carrie and Ryan, you have their information, so that would be a good person to reach out to as well.
And then lastly, tomorrow when Tara pre-recorded the video that's going to play in the video announcements. I'm going to talk about it briefly from the pulpit, but help us kind of disseminate that into encouraging people in the church, one, to be here next Sunday, and then to invite people. Because the idea essentially is that we can grow by creating strong bonds over meals, which is actually psychologically proven to be a reality.
And this is a really unique way to do it. We're not doing it after service. It's from 10 to 11:15. I mean, that we're doing it during service, and it'll probably go after 11:15, but the official dismissal will be at 11:15. So,
yep. So,
yeah.
And then I wanted to throw out to you guys to get feedback regarding, I had mentioned using Google Hangouts, and didn't know if that's something that if you guys are familiar with. If not, we can do kind of a brief little training in terms of what the platform we're going to use to communicate once a week, and then also on an ongoing basis throughout the week. There's different programs to help like manage projects and stuff like that. And I'd like to hear from you on the value of that, because if we invest in it, I want to make sure that everybody is going to use it. But here's the kick. So you can't just say, well, I wouldn't use that, and then not have any solutions. So if you wouldn't use something like that, what are the alternative solutions that we can use to manage tasks? Because what we're seeing, if we can just be really honest, we're kind of in maintenance mode right now. Mm-hmm. And we want to move from maintaining, because we'll never grow as not only as a church numerically, but even as empowering the rest of the church if we're just in maintenance mode, keeping the ship afloat. Mm-hmm. We want to move forward, and by doing that, we need to be better about communicating amongst ourselves as a team, developing strong bonds as a team, empowering our leaders, and then really just following through, getting mm-hmm. crap done that we say we're going to do. And we all kind of bear that burden a little bit together. So things like Wunderlist or Basecamp, Slack, different task management softwares aid in doing that, but it requires, I know a few of you that don't like to be on the internet as much as others. It might involve some sacrifice, some being willing to take one for the team mm-hmm. To make that happen. So just in the comments, let me know what your thoughts are, what would work best for you, and then we can go from there. Do you have anything else that you want to add?
I think it's really important that we all make this a big priority, because we have to be able to communicate as a team, and we have to be able to interact as a team, because if we don't, that's where misunderstandings, that's where frustrations, that's where disunity comes in. And we've seen that happen in the past in other churches, and we don't want that to happen to us. So we're asking everybody to sacrificially participate in our meetings. When we have a meeting, we're sacrificing too. We aren't working full time for the church. We're busy. We have things going on, and we're still doing it. And so we're not asking you to do anything that we're not willing to do. So yeah, I just think that it's really important that we all make this a priority, and we'll do our best to work with your guys' schedule and everything, but this isn't just about each individual person. This is us as a team, and we have to sacrifice for one another and pull together for one another as well, because we want to be strong as a lead team so we can lead the church well together. So, yeah.
Yeah. We also wanted to give you guys an update on the situation with Otis, because it dawned on us last night after a week in a fog that we really haven't communicated well, just kind of little bits and pieces. The first thing that we wanted to say, and after this whole situation is done, I'm going to, in some medium, voice this publicly, but I want to say on our behalf, and I know I speak for Tara as well, which I seldom do, but in this case I will,
I'll allow it.
that we appreciate so much the way that you guys have surrounded us, and not just you guys, but the rest of the church, the body as a whole. Yeah. A lot of times being at the top in a church is extremely lonely, mm-hmm. Especially when you're going through something difficult. And this has been so difficult that it's been one of those times where it's like, just being very transparent, I don't really care what happens with the church right now, mm-hmm. because our family is in so much pain. And you guys have really surrounded us, not just as your pastors, but that power distance was just not there, and we were just your brothers and sisters in Christ, your family. And that meant more than just like, well, they're the pastors, so, we should, help support them. Like, we felt like, you were doing for us what you would do for, the people that you love most in the world. And that meant the world to us. So thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you for your continued prayers. Situation at present is Anna is in another home in Catholic Charities right now temporarily until the whole situation clears out. Tylen and Otis are in a different home. But something's wrong with Otis, as obviously, we all have suspected even before all this happened. But we presented to CPS a binder of like 100 pages of correspondence and, and all just every shred of documentation and text message, email that we've ever sent,
picture,
to help help them see that we've been voicing concern, and those concerns have been falling on deaf ears. And so, long story short, the doctors saw abnormalities in the scans, which indicate they believe cancer, that he may have like a form of leukemia. They're not sure yet, which is why we don't have Anna, and they're still running tests. He was at U of M all day yesterday, running scans and doing testing for genetics, testing for leukemia, trying to figure out what it is that he's actually got. But what was vocalized to us from as far as Catholic Charities told us that the foster parent which took Otis into the home was instructed by the hospital to essentially treat him like a piece of fragile glass, that he's so fragile at this point, which is far worse than anything that, at least to our knowledge, that he was like when he was in the home with us, that they can't change his diaper by lifting up his legs, and like can't sit him up on their lap and all of this kind of stuff.
You have to like scoop underneath and lift his body and place a diaper underneath because they're afraid it will break his legs or break his foot or whatever, because his bones are so fragile. You can't carry him on your hip like you do a normal child. They're afraid it'll break his pelvic bone or like fracture his legs or something like that. So I mean, he's sick.
Yeah.
Like, they also found multiple cysts on his brain, and they don't know what that means. They just know that it's not good. And so he's sick. He's very sick. And we're just waiting at this point to figure out what he has, because once we figure out what he has, then this is over. But it's a waiting game right now. And it's all really in the hands of the doctor.
Yeah. So, hopefully, at the beginning of this week, I know the CPS agent that was assigned to this case said that he's going to be hounding the doctor for updates and trying to figure out what's going on. And so, hopefully, by the beginning of this week, they'll be convinced enough that it wasn't us to be able to get us back together with Anna.
With that being said, we're, just so you guys know, like when we get Anna back, we're keeping our fostering license open for her until we have to start the adoption process all over again. Because of this, they removed their consent for adoption. So that has to start from the very beginning. But Otis and Tylen will not be coming back into our home because, first of all, we can't take care of Otis with as sick as he is and having that many kids in the home. And if he is required to go down for, radiation or chemotherapy or whatever, we can't physically take care of a baby with cancer. And so we've decided that we're going to close those spots in our home and just have Anna and be done with foster care.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, you guys have walked with us through this, and you know that foster care is taxing emotionally as it is, but then after this, like, we're done. So, but yeah, anyway, continue to pray that, one, the diagnosis is figured out quickly for two important reasons. One, to clear us and to get Anna back in our home, and then equally as important to begin treating Otis for whatever, cancer or leukemia or deficiency or whatever it is that he has. So, but thankfully, as painful as this was, if it looks like there is something indeed wrong with him, thankfully that we got him into the hospital, in time to where, God forbid something worse happens. So,
yeah.
Anyway, well, we'll wrap this up just shy of 20 minutes. So if you can, make sure when you're done, if you can just like or acknowledge that you read it or whatever. That way I know that this communicated out to everybody. And then, like I said, discuss feedback, questions that you have or whatever in the comment section. But we love you guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.